Hello and welcome to another episode of A History of Thrones, and this time I'm going to be focusing on Ramsey Bolton and his medieval counterpart John Neville, who was a major player in the English Civil War known as the Wars of the Roses. And my argument is going to be based on three main points. They both solidified northern rule, their extreme violence brought them both great rewards, and they were both traitors. So Ramsey's solidifying of Bolton northern rule starts pretty early in the books. Even when Robb Stark's alive, the Lord Hornwood dies fighting for him in the south, leaving a 93-year-old widow. Ramsey sees the opportunity and captures this lady Hornwood, forces her to marry him. He actually locks her in a tower, starves her to the point she's found dead, with her own fingers chewed off, and styles himself Lord of the Hornwood. And in the show we see how effective he is as well. He organises the surrender and the massacre of the Ironborn at Moat Cailin in Season 4, using Theon as a bit of a pawn. And in Season 5 we see him marry Sansa Stark in a bit more of a diplomatic move to give himself more of a solid claim to the lordship of Winterfell. However, his most decisive victory would come against Stannis when he defeated him in the Battle of Ice just outside the gates of Winterfell at the very end of Season 5, securing the northern rule of the Boltons. And John Neville was deployed in a very similar way. After Towton in 1461, John Neville was the enforcer for Edward IV's rule in the north. He was known to torture people for information on Lancastrian movements, and he too won a crushing victory against his enemy in 1464 at the Battle of Hexham when he defeated the remaining Lancastrian army. And this ability to be extremely violent leads me on to my next point.
I'm afraid I am. Everything I told you is a lie. This isn't happening to you for a reason. Well, one reason. I enjoy it.
Please, cut it off! Cut it off! Cut it off!
I win.
So we can see how Ramsey was more than ready to use torture throughout his showing on the Game of Thrones series to get what he wants, and it brought him rewards, as seen by this scene on the right. He was legitimised by his father and made Ramsey Bolton Lord of the Hornwood and Lord of Winterfell. And John Neville also used violence and tyranny to better himself in his world. He was responsible for inciting much of the violence between the Lancastrian supporting Percys and the Neville family. He was actually attacked at his own wedding. He was that unpopular with the Percys. After the Battle of Hexham, he executed the Duke of Somerset. Now, in these days, a duke would have fetched you a healthy ransom rather than be executed. However, John Neville, the violent man that he was, would rather have seen his head be cut off than receive a lump sum of money for him. His men were even responsible for capturing King Henry as he was trying to flee to Scotland. And all these achievements saw him be rewarded, as Ramsey was rewarded with legitimisation and the lordships of Winterfell and Hornwood. John Neville was made the Earl of Northumberland, which was formerly a Percy title, making that victory even more sweet. So we know that Ramsey is a traitor. He betrays pretty much everyone in the show. He betrays Theon Greyjoy as soon as we first meet him. He betrays one of his ex-girlfriends during that lovely hunting exercise, and he obviously betrays his own father, killing him in Season 6. And John Neville too displayed his treacherous tendencies. The title of Northumberland was taken away from him by Edward. This was due to the growing influence of his wife and the fears that the Neville family may one day spring their own royal line to challenge Edward's. After this, he betrays Edward and joins his brother, the Earl of Warwick, in rebellion in an effort to restore Lancaster to the throne. However, these efforts would be in vain, as they were both killed at the Battle of Barnet in 1471, as Edward returned to exact revenge on the Neville family. So, to sum up, Ramsey solidifies the northern rule of the Boltons, whereas John solidifies the northern rule of the Yorks. The rule was secured with a great military victory for Ramsey at Winterfell when he defeats Stannis, and similar for John, he secured his rule with a military victory at Hexham. Ramsey was rewarded with legitimisation and the lordship of Winterfell, whereas John was rewarded with the earldom of Northumberland. This was not enough for Ramsey, however, because he pretty much betrays everyone in the show and ends up dying a traitor's death at Winterfell at the hands of the Starks. And Jon too would betray the people who rewarded him, as he died at the Battle of Barnet in 1471. So that's it for this time. I hope you enjoyed. Please like, comment and subscribe, and I'll be back next time.